Well, hello everyone. I just wanted to share with you a profound insight I got from listening to a Sydney Banks recording. On that recording, he mentioned that the most unnatural state for a human being to be in is unhappiness. And I was blown away really hearing that. Isn't that profound? The most unnatural state for us to be in is unhappiness. So our natural state is to be happy, to be filled with these beautiful feelings of happiness and joy. Um, and so it really touched me deeply to see that profound truth that we're meant to live in happiness through our lives. If that's so, then what gets in the way? Well, really, what gets in the way is our own learned ways of thinking about life, particularly how much we think about ourselves, that self evaluation, that looking at ourselves and asking ourselves how we're doing, or looking at how we've been and think we should have been better. All that thinking that gets in the way of these beautiful feelings of happiness really are a lot around, doubting ourselves, questioning ourselves. Um, being judgmental about ourselves, critical of ourselves. Also, comparing ourselves to these expectations we've learned to take on in our lives, expecting that we should be better than we are. I remember learning that in the first grade when a teacher in math, in our math class, put everybody's names on the bulletin board and then colored pins by each other's names, and the tin pin would advance if depending upon how well you did on math tests. And that's where I learned to start to compare my pin with people whose pins were ahead of me. But really, what I want to share with you today, that's it. The only thing in the way of you being happy right now, me too, is our thinking, the way we're thinking about ourselves particularly. And if we were able to realize that, see it with an insight, not intellectually, not looking for a strategy to not think about ourselves, but really see deeply that the only thing in the way of us being happy is our learned thoughts. They're just learned. You pick them up in life. Let me give you a story about how, with this client of mine, it was a profound instance of someone realizing deeply that thought was getting in the way of their happiness. In my practice, several years ago now, a woman came to see me. She was 85 years old, and she mentioned at the outset that uh, she knows that her time remaining is limited. There was nothing wrong with her physically or medically, but she knew, at 85, she's got a few, I don't mean a few years, but her rest of her life is less than what it was before 85. But anyhow, the essence of it is she wanted to be happy the rest of her life. She said to me, I've been depressed my whole life. I want to be happy for the remainder of my life. So we started to talk about this understanding of the three principles that I share in other videos. And for we met for about 6 sessions, and it really wasn't affecting her in any way. She wasn't getting less depressed, and out of being frustrated with that in that moment, I just said, Mabel, are you ever happy? And she said, to my surprise, yeah, I am. And so I wondered, well, Mabel, when is that you're happy? And she said, when I wake up, I'm happy. I thought, when you wake up, you're happy. She said, yeah. I said, well, what happens to that, And she said, By the time my feet hit the slippers, I remember I'm depressed. And it hit her. No, I just think I'm depressed. The minute I stand up, I think I'm depressed. I said, yeah, that's it. She realized deeply that it was just a learned way of thinking about herself that kept the depression going. And as we knew, when she started remembering she's depressed, she had depressing thoughts. She thought about how she didn't treat her husband well. She thought about how she's on the outs with her daughter. Her friends don't call any longer. The day is going to be dark. There's nothing to do. All of that thinking came into her mind immediately when she remembered she's depressed. So no wonder that depression continued. But the minute she saw this, she just saw, I think I'm depressed, that went away. And in the midst of that, in our session, all her happiness came up. She started laughing about this. She just became a brighter person. And even during the session, she started to get a way to handle life from happiness. And again, what happened was uh, she realized that there were times in her life she was really good to her husband, and she uh, uh, then found ways that she wanted to connect back with her daughter in a more loving way. And she realized, well, she can start calling her friends because, she realized that her friends stopped calling because every time they called, she would just share from this dark place in her. So she realized, well, I'll start calling them. And actually, the day looked brighter to her. When she left my office, she was almost floating out of the office. She was just in these beautiful feelings. Well, that's just a story to try to share with you. All of us are like that. All of us keep thinking about ourselves in a certain way, and we have all the thoughts from the past that support it, so it looks real to us. But what we have to realize is that the way we're thinking about ourselves is really why we feel bad about ourselves. We doubt ourselves. We don't think we're worthy. We kept feeling guilty and so forth because of the way we think about ourselves. Once we realize that, the moment we can see that, that thinking moves aside and in comes the happiness. In comes that joyful feeling, that, that feeling of lightness. Now, the other cool thing about this is that when this happiness emerges, what comes to mind is our wisdom for life, our wisdom for living in life in a way of love and understanding. That wisdom comes to us and guides us in life. That's what's in uh, the essence of happiness. Not only do you get a feeling of joy and well being, you also get a guidance about living more of your life through those feelings. Isn't that amazing that that's how we're built? That's really how what we're given uh, psychologically and spiritually when we come into the world. Um, and so I just wanted you to get a sense of the fact that you are happiness. I am happiness right now. We can live in that right now. And we just have to recognize that we've got habits of thinking that either move us away from being happy or kind of keeps us from experiencing it. But that's nothing to be concerned about. The minute you can really see the truth of that, you really believe that's true, you really realize the truth of that, that old thinking starts to diminish, go away. And because you're starting to live in the happiness that you're meant to live in. So I hope this video was helpful to you. If you'd like more like this, keep looking to my channel as I create more videos to move you toward well-being, love, and understanding, and the wisdom of life that you're meant to live in. Enjoy your day.